Your phone buzzes. You look. Nothing important. You look again anyway. You do this dozens of times a day. You've blamed yourself for it. Not enough discipline, you tell yourself. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was built to do 300,000 years ago. Back then, there were no notifications. But there was a rustle in the grass, a shift in the wind, a sound from the tree line that might be nothing, or might be everything. Your ancestors who ignored that rustle didn't always get a second chance. The ones who checked, who turned their head toward the uncertain thing, survived a little more often. Generation after generation, that reflex got carved deeper into the brain. Here's the strange part. It wasn't danger itself that shaped your brain. It was uncertainty. A neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz studied this in the 1990s. He expected dopamine neurons to fire when an animal received a reward. They did. But when the reward became predictable, the response faded. When the reward was uncertain, dopamine surged even higher. Not at the reward itself, at the maybe. Your brain's biggest hit of motivation doesn't come from getting something good. It comes from not knowing whether it's coming at all. Now think about your phone. Every notification is a maybe. Good news, bad news, nothing at all. You don't know until you look. And that not knowing is exactly the signal your dopamine system evolved to chase, the same signal that once sent your ancestors' eyes darting toward a shifting shadow. Decades earlier, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran a different experiment. Pigeons, a lever, a food pellet that dropped only sometimes, randomly. The pigeons should have pressed the lever less often. Instead, they pressed obsessively, far more than pigeons who got a pellet every single time. He called it a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. You know it by a more familiar name. It's the mechanism behind a slot machine. It's also the mechanism behind your lock screen. There's a second layer, one about people, not danger. A British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar spent decades studying primate social groups. He found that bigger social groups meant bigger brains, specifically the regions responsible for tracking relationships. Before language, primates maintained bonds through grooming, one animal at a time for hours. It doesn't scale. Dunbar's theory is that language, gossip, checking in, evolved partly to replace it, letting humans track far more relationships than grooming ever could. Knowing who was upset, who was an ally, who was planning something, was protection. So when your phone buzzes, and some part of you needs to know who it is, you're running ancient social software, built for a world where you might see 30 people across your entire lifetime. Now that same software fires hundreds of times before lunch for almost nothing. Researchers studying phone habits have also found that people check their phones more when they're anxious, not less. You'd expect the opposite. But anxiety is itself an unresolved signal, and the brain's oldest answer to an unresolved signal isn't to walk away. It's to check again. You're not weak-willed, you're ancient. Understanding the reflex won't erase it, but it changes the question you ask. Not why can't I stop checking, but what is my alarm system actually responding to right now? Turning off the notifications that create false uncertainty, the ones detached from people you actually care about, starves the reflex a little at a time. You can't rewire 300,000 years of evolution by next Tuesday, but you can stop feeding it fake rustles in the grass. Tonight, your phone will buzz. You'll look. Of course you will. But maybe now you'll know what's really doing the looking. Not you, exactly. Something 300,000 years older than you, still listening for a sound in the grass.